You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Tuesday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
Man, September hit over the weekend, and instantly, it's just fall.
Right?
Like, the weather. I mean, it's that weird time of the year where it's insanely cold in the morning, and then it picks up throughout the day. But
and then craters off back in the evening again.
Yeah.
Like if you go out after like 6 o'clock, you're like, this is not the temperature it was an hour ago.
yeah. Everyone's gonna start getting sick in the next week, is what it's gonna be.
Dude's already hit my house.
Yeah?
Yeah, Mallory got a cold over the weekend. Passed to her daughter.
Hold up. Is this you planning a sick day in the next week?
No, because
that's
so
what people
far,
do.
So far, so good. And she's been sick for like 3 days. So I actually think I might not get sick for the beginning of school this year.
Okay.
Knock on.
I wish we were sponsored by like Bet365 or something. I was going to say, go into the links, start placing your bets. Will Dalby be sick next week
Listen,
or not?
don't you go Maury on me already with that was a lie, all right? I'm not sick. I'm not getting sick.
Yeah.
I bet you get sick before I do.
You know what? I might keep that in my back pocket if I don't want to come into work next week. Like, man, Dalby totally came in. He was totally sick.
You're blaming it on me.
Yeah.
I'm the carrier.
You're the problem.
This is the time of year, you can attest to this. Ever since we've started working together, I almost always get a cold around this time.
Yeah.
And it's because our little petri dishes are all mingling again in the schools. But yeah, no, Mallory got sick before school went back in.
This is why I don't want to have kids.
Yeah, this is why. This is the sole reason, because of the sniffles.
I treat my body like a temple. I don't need those little germs.
It's a temple, but it's one of those undiscovered ones that's not doing great.
It's one of those ones that you shouldn't go inside. Yeah.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I saw that it is sorry, let me do the math again here. 211th birthday, allegedly, for Uncle Sam.
Like the I Want You guy?
Yeah. The red, white, and blue patriot that would sit on posters and stuff like that and tell people that they should join the army is apparently that image. The idea of it is 211 years old.
Is that based after a real guy, or was that just...
I always thought, and I can't say this is a fact, but as a kid, I always thought that it was supposed to be Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
But it would have existed at the same time as Abraham Lincoln.
I get it. You think that top hat, beard, yeah.
Right, yeah. Exactly. I've just felt like it must have been based off. I was also scared out of my mind of Uncle Sam when I was a kid, though.
Well, a guy just pointing saying, I want you. Yeah.
That's just it. And it's not like, I mean, I've always lived in Canada, so it's not like I saw the posters in person, but they were in the movies, they were in TV.
Yeah.
It was a constant trope in different shows. Uncle Sam was referenced in a million different things. And I remember when I was a kid, I thought there was an old man who lived in America that would kidnap people and force them to join the army. That's what because it's so aggressive.
Well, I mean, I get it. Like, if some dude in a Star-Spangled Banner outfit came up and said, I want you.
Right,
Yeah.
that's not a positive scenario. Like, 211 years, we haven't thought of a better way to get the point across to people other than an old man pointing at young people saying, I want you? That's not okay, Uncle Sam. You gotta stop that.
The slogan should have been, I need you, if anything.
I think that makes it sound more desperate.
Makes it a little more romantic, I guess, right? I crave you.
That guy, they would pop up and they would show the posters at like the movie or TV or whatever I was watching, and I would just be like, oh God, there he is again.
I felt the same way about Chuck E. Cheese.
About the rat?
Yeah. The first time I ever went to Chuck E. Cheese and I saw the robotic one.
Yeah, oh my God.
I honestly think that's the reason why I don't like robots, is he had that little band there.
Sure.
And like the first time we went, they broke down.
Oh, God. Yeah, animatronic, like, it was such a good idea. It made so much sense to develop these robots that could just come out and make very basic movements, enough to enter, because kids are stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Kids are dumb. This entertains them, but I feel like the end result is so many nightmares.
It was that, and then we went to Universal Studios when I was a kid, and they had the E.T. ride, and they had like a robotic E.T. Actually, there's like a family of robotic E.T.s during the ride, and that made me scared of that movie growing up.
You know, I saw when I was a kid, because they have all the McDonald's characters, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When I lived in Grand Prairie in Alberta, I would see you. I feel like back in the early 90s, you saw Ronald McDonald a lot more often. Like, and you never see him anymore, like at restaurants or at events and stuff like
legit
that.
in person?
Yeah. They would hire some dude and he would dress up as Ronald McDonald. They also used to do the other characters. I can remember not wanting to get too close to Grimace. Like all the kids these days with the Grimace shake and everything like that. I remember looking and being like, okay, that's a big clown. That's probably fine. That one's a bird. That one's a criminal. Keep an eye on him.
I felt he was pretty shady, actually. Yeah.
No, it was the Hamburglar, right? You had to keep an eye on him.
The fact that he was just stealing stuff and there was like a kid's mascot was a bit strange.
I think that was the thing. I think that was like what made it work in my head was I was like, well, everybody else is cool with him. So like, I don't know. Maybe he's working on it.
I mean, if you woke up in the middle of the night and all of those guys were in your house... It would be absolutely terrifying.
If the entire cast of the Ronald McDonald's mascots is in my house at night, I'm telling you, I'm bummed out the Hamburglar is there, but he's going for the fridge. I'm worried Grimace is going for my soul. All right? I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
Grimace and Ronald are the two that are the most intimidating.
What is he even supposed to be?
I always thought he was a chicken nugget because then there was those smaller brown versions.
But he's purple.
That's what I'm saying.
So is he like an uncooked chicken nugget? Is that what he is?
It's poison. He's the forbidden nugget.
He's salmonella nugget. That's what he is, dude.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
And we forgot about one McDonald's mascot, Mayor McCheese, right, Matt?
How could you not be terrified by a man with a hamburger head with a hamburger smile? Like the fact that it was smiling with like the accoutrement was probably the most terrifying thing as a kid. I'm like, he's a freak.
I think Mayor McCheese was creepy because it's like, would you eat him or...
Would he eat himself? Do you think in a situation where Mayor McCheese's plane went down, Burger Force One or whatever it would be called,
Burger Force One,
do you think that to stay alive he just starts like plucking at the bun, eventually gets to the patty?
Does he say ow every time? Ow.
Is he allowed to eat cheeseburgers is the real thing. Wouldn't that not be cannibalism?
And then, it was like the cheese slice that gave him like this weird, creepy horror smile.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
Would
he
it
was
start
creepy as
melting on a
hell.
hot day?
The only reason he lived forever is because McDonald's burgers never go bad.
That's right. He was technically immortal.
Oh, yeah, they never run, eh? Yep. That's why he's still going.
I think in our next federal election, we need to all vote for Mayor McCheese.
100%. It better make the ballot.
A vote for McCheese is a vote for sustainability.
That thing was creepy as hell, man.
Honestly, it really was. And then there was Mayor McCheese, and then the other side of the aisle, there was the Burger King. From Burger King that would sneak around and give people cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy, he was trying to do a good thing, but terrifying.
They tried to make him look real, but it was a mask at the same time.
Yeah. I had a buddy who bought like a rubber version of that mask and would just like wear it around.
I mean, I have the Burger King guy tattooed on my legs.
You know what? Yeah, fair enough. Someone texted in mall Santas. And I
get
agree with mall Santas, but I see your mall Santas and I raise you mall Easter bunnies.
Yeah.
A mall Easter bunny has to be perfect or else it's horrifying.
Yeah.
If you can see any of the stitching, if anything is falling apart, if it's got any kind of poor demeanor, it's a nightmare.
I think either or is kind of creepy because it's something of your childhood that's supposed to be like fantasy and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, Santa Claus specifically is always watching you.
That's true. And now here he is.
Yeah.
And you're starting to go through as a kid. You're going through the inventory of everything you've done and you're like, oh no.
And you're waiting in line to get there, or like you keep walking past him and you're like, he knows.
All you're doing is you're just waiting. Your anxiety's just spiraling out of control.
Imagine if they did that with the Tooth Fairy. if you could have a meet and greet with the Tooth Fairy at the mall, how creepy that would be.
If instead of putting teeth under your pillow, you just had to like keep them in a jar and you had to bring them to the Tooth Fairy at the mall.
If I was a kid, the first thing I would ask is, what are you doing with the teeth?
Where do these go?
Yeah.
What is your plan?
Are you building a house with them? Are you just keeping them? Are you making necklaces?
Do you snack on them?
Yeah.
Is this like trail mix for you? Do you just walk around eating children's teeth?
Yeah. That's the real questions we need answered.
That's right. We need to get a mall Tooth Fairy so we can force them to answer.
No, we need to elect Mayor McCheese so he can get down to the bottom of it, dude.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Have you heard about how they're trying to stop kids from having sex in Hong Kong?
Not Hong Kong specifically. I know just most people are trying to slow that whole thing down.
The government is advising teenagers to play badminton instead of having sex. They've released some new sex education guidelines, which advises teenagers to avoid premarital sex by engaging in physical activities like badminton. They're basically saying that if you play badminton, it'll distract you from your urges.
I know a lot of kids in my high school that played badminton. Like they set up like a club and they would play at intramurals or recess, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure none of them were having sex, so I get it. It just seems like
I do like the idea of hanging out with like a girl or a guy, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and you start getting those urges, and you're like, "Want to play?"
What's like? I suppose the North American equivalent is how we always talk about like think about baseball when you start getting the urges and everything will calm down or whatever. They just think about badminton. Think about smashing birdies.
I will say, the word shuttlecock has always felt very sexual to me anyways. I mean, most of the terms in badminton, smash, rally,
Right.
kill.
Yeah,
like,
100%. Not to mention that it has the same problem tennis has in that every time you go to hit the bird, every time you go to smash the shuttlecock,
Yeah. Yeah. Want to play doubles? I'd like to play in the backcourt.
that's right. Two couples who are both struggling come together for a good old-fashioned four-way in badminton. Just playing the game.
I think if there's any sport that you'd have to play to maybe not make it so sexualized, it's got to be curling, right?
Curling would make sense, right? It's got that, although we've talked about this.
Yeah, the hurry hard.
The hurry hard, the
Yeah.
hard sweeping, everybody's very physical. Curling is not what it used to be. Everybody's sexy in curling now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think curling is what it used to be. I
Is
don't
there a
think curling...
sport that's not sexy? Because you even said baseball, but I mean, you got baseball butts, dude.
Yeah, baseball butts, a lot of scratching, a lot of tugging.
Those uniforms they got this year for Major League Baseball are very relieving.
Can't go to
revealing, not release. Maybe one or the other, depending on how you watch baseball.
Can't go to football. Football is riddled with innuendo, starting and ending with the tight ends.
Well, I mean, football actually might be the best one. You get a concussion, you might not be able to play.
This is true. Maybe it's hockey. You know, it's very clunky padding. There's the helmets, the face guards, the big hockey pants kind of cover everything up. Then you add in the cold and the hitting. It's not very sexy.
That's true. I mean, the only sexy part is the 5-hole, I guess.
But that's, you can't, nothing's perfect.
That's about it, yeah. We know it's not pole vaulting because after the Olympics this year, everybody's turned on from that.
I've been thinking about pole vaulting a lot lately.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Remember those astronauts that went up to the ISS back in June? It was supposed to be like a quick mission. Now they're stuck there until at least February.
The ultimate cursed voyage?
Well, over the weekend, one of the astronauts reported back to NASA saying they got a strange sound coming from the Starliner ship that they can't get into.
Oh, that's the Boeing ship that took them up there that can't bring them home.
Yeah, here, listen to this.
Houston on 2, I've got a question about Starliner.
Houston's with you, Butch. Go ahead.
There's a strange noise coming through the speaker.
All right, Butch, that one came through. It was kind of like a pulsing noise, almost like a sonar ping.
I'll do it one more time, and I'll let y'all scratch your heads and see if you can figure out what's going on. Here we go.
Isn't that terrifying?
Dude!
I've seen tons of alien movies where the same sound is used.
I was going to say, I don't know what that sound is specifically, but a lifetime of watching movies and television tells me that Joe Biden better start working on his Independence Day speech.
Now, NASA is claiming that it is just some sort of feedback sound that is coming from the Starliner's speaker, but then again, at the same time, would they tell us if it was actually something?
Well, you got to imagine, right? You want to keep the public calm. You want to keep the two astronauts stuck in the space station calm. But even if it is just like a weird feedback loop, what started it? Because they've been up there for months, and apparently this just started happening, so why hasn't it been happening?
Maybe this is the reason why they haven't come back? The conspiracy theorist in me started reading so much stuff online over the weekend.
I mean, that's just it, dude. I mean, you got these two people. They came up on a very short mission. All of a sudden, it's turned into this thing. They're stuck there for the foreseeable future. And now you have a weird space noise happening. This is a plot of so many movies.
Doesn't it sound like a mix of kind of like whale noises and the sound of Darth Vader? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's got sort of like that, almost like that radar ping, you know, when you see the old submarine movies?
Yeah.
And the little line goes around the circle and it goes boom, boom, boom.
I can't imagine being on that ship right now. Like, it's got to be terrifying to hear something like that and then be told it's not a big deal. It's kind of like being home alone and someone knocks at your door in the middle of the night.
Right, your heart just starts racing because it could be a million things. Even if someone tells you, like, oh, it's just somebody at the door, you're fine. You're like, but what if?
NASA's like a crappy boyfriend that it's like, it's nothing. Don't worry about it, babe.
I don't want to go downstairs and look. Just go back to sleep and pretend nothing's happening.
The plot of every horror movie. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
The aliens are about to home invade the space station, and no one's getting up to check the front door.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
We got friend of the show, Patty, on the phone. Patty, what's the worst sound to hear when you're all alone?
Floorboards squeaking. Or creaking, I mean.
Any kind of creak, whether it's like floorboards or like the joists in the attic or anything like that.
The door squeaking, yeah.
As soon as you hear, you're just like, well, I'm dead.
Well, especially if you're in the house by yourself and the cat's looking up the stairs like there's something to be seen.
Cats, honestly, I don't know what it is, but they make every situation way more terrifying because they just get hyper-focused on things you can't see.
Well, cats are just dicks.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you.
Cats just like messing with us, I think, is the main thing.
100%. They're like, if I stare at this wall long enough, it'll freak the person I live with out.
And it works every time.
Yeah, that, what's that sound? That's on like every Halloween soundtrack.
Right.
Like,
long ago, we all got together and agreed that that's a terrifying sound.
I mean, we're talking a lot of smack about cats, but I will say, if you have a dog and your dog just starts barking out of nowhere, especially when you see like the heckles rise up on it too.
Yeah. When it gets freaked out and you can't see it, the dog has perceived danger and you haven't. But you trust that the dog is probably smarter than you when it comes to that sort of thing. So now you're on high alert.
Yeah.
What did you see, boy? Tell me what you saw.
Yeah, it'll freak you out. It'll freak you out real quick. A lot of people saying the sound of a child's laughter.
Yeah, because like someone else texted in the sound of like a baby crying. And yes, that can be eerie. It can be haunting, especially if you don't have children. But for some reason, children's laughter when you're not expecting it, if you don't have kids or whatever, way creepier than a sad baby.
Yeah, I mean, put yourself in anywhere, whether it's your own home or if you're camping, if you're in a house, if someone else's house, a hotel, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you hear child's laughter, you're in a horror movie automatically. I'd also like to add to the list, if you're ever camping and you just hear a branch break, right?
Yeah. Which is a totally normal thing to hear out in the woods, but it does still mean that there's at least 7 people coming to murder you in your tent.
It's that
every time.
And when you're in the bathroom and you think you're all alone and you hear someone go, "Oh, gross." That's not really scary. That's more shameful, but you know what I mean?
It's more emotionally devastating than anything else.
Oh, it stinks in here.
I'm so sorry. I didn't know you were here.
You honestly want to die in that moment.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
We're talking about that weird sound that's coming from the International Space Station, the Starliner ship there, which, if you missed it, sounds like this.
This is the trailer for a horror movie.
Someone sent us a video and said that if you speed it up...
Oh, that's even creepier.
All right, you take out some of the noise.
Ugh.
And then if you add drums, you'll hear this. There's just a rave going on in space.
It's not a horror thing at all. It's just aliens looking to party.
It's a feed coming from 1999 is what it is.
It just took that long to get back to them.
I'm glad we figured that out because I was terrified.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast. It's time for Brock and Dalby's Draft.
All right, so apparently Wendy's is going to be doing Krabby Patties in the next month or so.
Yeah,
You know,
it looks like beginning of October, the Krabby Patty, to celebrate 25 years of SpongeBob SquarePants, will be coming to the U.S., Canada, and Guam. Of course, Guam gets everything.
so we decided we're going to do a draft of the best fictional food items from, I don't know, shows, TV, whatever. Yeah.
I got the first overall pick, and mine is maybe a bit sweeping, but also a little bit vague, so you'll have to bear with me. Because in the cartoon, and I'm specifically talking about the cartoon, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they never specified where the pizzas were coming from. I don't have a brand, but no pizza has ever looked as good as those old cartoon pizzas from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I don't know who was making them, but the shop that made their pizzas would give them any stoner idea for toppings they could ever come up with, like this one here.
Master Splinter, perhaps you'd like to try some pizza. It's marshmallow and pepperoni.
Now, here's the thing. It's ironic that you went with that for your number one pick because I am also going with a pizza.
Oh.
But I am going with the pizza from a Goofy movie. The pizza that was extremely cheesy for no reason at all, but... oh, man, did that look good.
The cheese pull was off the charts.
Max and his friend are eating that, and it just he has to literally wrap the cheese around the pizza. That's got to be the best fictional pizza, dude.
Thank you for putting respect on the pizza. Please also put some respect on PJ, his friend. He has a name.
Sorry. It's weird that we both went pizzas number one.
Absolutely. Well, let's see. Maybe we go in the same direction for number two. Maybe not. I'm going prehistoric. And by that, I mean the cartoon, not when I would have watched it. I'm going to the Flintstones, and specifically
I know
the massive ribs that they would get, not only from the drive-in during the credits, but also during the show.
What'll it be, Mr. Rebel? 30 pounds of ribs.
30 pounds of ribs.
Yeah. Every day was a rib fest for them, basically.
Just imagine the difficulty in trying to cook those.
With my number two pick, I am going to go with the mushrooms that Super Mario eats. Mainly as a guy who has been told he's very short.
Yeah.
If I could just get a little more height, sometimes they make you fly, sometimes they make you stronger.
So you're taking all the mushrooms from...
I'm taking all the shrooms from Super Mario.
I only ask that because my number three pick was going to be specifically the one-up mushroom. Yeah. But if you claim all the mushrooms...
I'm taking all the mushrooms, okay? I'm taking all the mushrooms.
In that case, you know what? I'm going to have to go, and I go to Willy Wonka of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, specifically the original live-action movie with Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. The everlasting gobstopper. Imagine a candy that you have to buy one time. The flavor never runs out. It never gets old. You just put it away, come back to it later. It's still delicious. In this economy, what an investment.
I just feel like if you take that thing out of your mouth, you're going to get hair stuck on it. It's not going to be a good idea.
Listen, that's what Tupperware is for, brother. You just put it in a little Tupperware, put it aside, and go back to it later.
With my final pick in the draft of best fictional foods, maybe not everyone will agree with me, but I think as a kid, we all thought that we wanted to try it. I gotta go with the Scooby snack.
Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
I mean, it was a dog treat, but my man Shaggy was always eating them too.
I had it on my list. If you'd taken one more of my things, I would have been taking Scooby snacks. I agree with you. It's a dog treat primarily, but we saw almost all the humans in that show at some point eat a Scooby snack.
And I don't know if it's the stoner in me that really has always wanted to try it. I mean, I would get my mom to buy the little gummy Scooby snacks.
Sure.
But that big old box, and they just pour like all of them into their mouth at once.
Just dumping it in there. And also, because you might be thinking like, well, Shaggy probably didn't have a very discerning palate. But we all watch Scooby. I don't know why I'm defending your pick, but we all watch Scooby.
Because you know it's a good one.
Make a 12-layer sandwich and shove that in his face, so it would make sense that his snacks would probably also be pretty tasty.
All I'm saying is if there was a box of Scooby snacks right now, I'm at least trying it. You know?
have to. You have to try at least one.
It wouldn't be the first time I ate dog food either. I've tried a milk bone. We've talked about this before.
All right, so for my draft, my 3, I took the pizza from the old Ninja Turtles cartoon, the giant brontosaurus ribs from the Flintstones, and Willy Wonka's everlasting gobstoppers.
I went with the cheesiest pizza you've ever seen in your entire life, the pizza from a Goofy movie. Number 2, I did go with the mushrooms, all of the mushrooms from Mario. And in at number 3, I went with Scooby snacks.
You know, if you'd taken the Ninja Turtle pizza instead of the Goofy, your whole thing would have been stoner food.
There's a certain order that you can take them in, actually.
You're very true.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
If you love food and you're a hardcore gamer, you might like this. Heinz is apparently developing a robot that can give gamers an extra hand by dipping their snacks for them and then feeding them as they play.
No.
They've created a hands-free dipping machine called the Hum Hum. And it recently debuted at, I guess, the Esports World Cup in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, that's right. That was a big thing down there.
So if you look at this photo here, the machine has a mechanical hand that will dip and then feed the gamers while they continue on with their game.
I appreciate the idea.
No more greasy controllers.
No. I get exactly what they're trying to accomplish. But you, of all people, Mr. Anti-Robot, Anti-AI, we're going to trust a robot hand to start putting things in our mouths now? You're going to get punched in the teeth. You're going to get punched in the teeth. You're going to get choked. It's not good.
I'm just saying maybe this will finally encourage some people to get off the couch and stop gaming if people start getting attacked by robots. I mean, this thing's got a fork in its hand.
Oh, no!
A couple people start getting stabbed in the face. They might start saying video games are more dangerous than we thought.
There is no chance that I use this. I've said before with, like, no driver cars, hey, prove to me it works and I'll try it. This, 0% chance lifetime that I let this thing feed me.
I would say this would actually be pretty nice if you were just even drinking and you're after the bar and you got all your chicken nuggets.
It's just reminding you that you should be eating.
Yeah.
Poking you in the cheek.
Putting the fork on it is the dangerous move of the whole thing.
We cannot arm the robots. We've seen the movies. It doesn't end well.
God forbid you leave this thing on and there's no food around.
It's just hunting around with the fork.
Also, why is it called the Hum Hum? They couldn't think of a better name?
That, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, and I don't like it. I don't like any part of this.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The NFL season does kick off on Thursday, thank God.
Yep.
And according to Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, if you don't know anything about the Kansas City Chiefs, that's the team that Taylor Swift's boyfriend plays on, for some of you that don't know football.
Yes, Travis Kelce, for those that do.
Patrick Mahomes was quoted in a recent interview saying that Taylor Swift is actually really interested in football. He says she asks a lot of great questions. She's starting to learn the game better, and she's even started up drawing plays. He said we might have to even put one in.
Oh, no. I hate to be that guy, but this is a bad sign for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Do you think they actually all like Taylor Swift? Because we all have a buddy who's got a girlfriend that you're like, oh, this drip. Like,
yeah, not having. I mean, listen, everything I've seen, it seems like Taylor has a fairly reasonable personality. Yeah. When she's at the game, she seems like she's having a good time. I don't knock her for that. I hope that she's having a great time. But the same way that I wouldn't ask a member of the management team of the Kansas City Chiefs to write a hit pop song, I don't want Taylor Swift writing up plays for the football team.
You know how quarterbacks, when they're changing plays, they're calling audibles, they'll be like, Ohio, stuff like that. They're going to be like, blank space, shake it off,
They're calling out eras as their code words.
Bad blood. Anytime you hear one of those, you know Kelsey's getting the ball.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got.
Good morning. Yeah, today's word. Dilatory. Yeah, dilatory. 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 And it's intended to cause delay. Characterized by procrastination. Well, why put off till tomorrow what you can put off altogether? Actually, I'm kind of more of a get her done kind of guy. Anyways, that's about it. Have a great one. Cheers are up.
So is school starting? If your kids are procrastinating on their homework, they're dilatory, you could say.
Right. I mean, even to be honest, getting ready to get out the door. I got dilatory kids some mornings, and they do not want to get up. I'm told anyway.
Dilatory Kids sounds like a really great band name. I know I say that a lot with these word of the days, but Dilatory Kids is actually really sick.
What does Dilatory Kids play?
Dilatory Kids is like a ska band, I feel like.
Hup, hup, hup.
Yeah.
That's right. Trying to get you going.
Pick it up. That's it. That's the move.
We just created another $1 million band idea. Feel free to steal it. Neither of us can play instruments well, so you guys can start Dilatory Kids.
Dilatory. Use it wherever you can. Just don't be dilatory, all right?
And if you do start a band, you have to let us come to the first show.
Yes, absolutely.
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store, with all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.